Just going to quickly make sure that we are actually live and broadcasting to, I would say, the nation, but
Sorry.
By the weekend. I would say the nation. Yep, there we go. We are working fine. So with that knowledge, let's share the stream to everyone and get this commentary underway. 2 seconds and I shall be back with you all. And share. Let's go to the chat and just share it in there, and we will be off and away with everything. There we go. So, welcome to the Eldar Sim Racing Porsche 911 RSR series or league. We are here at round 2 at Santa Crow. We are using the C layout that I've been reliably informed, and looking at what we can see here, you can see the track layout there, and my kids and Kim do seem to think it looks a little bit like the Duracell bunny, and I can't help but think they are a little bit right. It almost looks like a headless Duracell bunny there.
Bits of ears.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Well, regardless, it can look a little bit like the Duracell bunny. So we'll go with the bunny layout rather than the C layout tonight, just for a little bit of a laugh and everything. We have got the live chat going as well. I see we've got Lee Dennington, our current championship leader, already on stream. Hello, Lee, and Phil as well. Wishing everyone good luck, and let's hope for another real good and interesting race here tonight. We had great fun last time out, with Lee just about getting the strategical advantage over Little John at Nürburgring. Morris was playing played a fantastic race, a very good hand, but ultimately, I think the fuel consumption just about cost him last time out, and if we're going to go down the list of people who are quite unlucky, certainly Darren Baldwin was a bit unlucky last time, catching that pit lane barrier, or pit lane entrance barrier, on lap 1, causing massive amount of damage and forcing him to pit very early on. Kind of knocked him out of contention of any decent position in the race. So tonight, as I say, we are in France at Santa Crow. I hope I'm saying it right. My French is atrocious, so if I say it wrong, I apologise. Anyone who feels like they can help us in a pronunciation, please feel free. But in the meantime, we will go with Santa Crow. The track is kind of designed around the lake of Santa Crow, so you'll see parts of the lake, you'll see them cross over the bridge as well that goes over the lake here. It's an overtaking opportunity at both ends of the track as well. Tight little sections, very technical track as well. With the practice that was held last night, some people were finding that the fuel consumption here tonight was lasting about 4 or 5 laps, at a stretch 6 with some decent fuel saving, which will make it very interesting, considering obviously with the medium and hard tyres only being allowed to be used, and the hard tyre having to be used for the 5 laps. those who are only making 4 laps out of the fuel, they're going to struggle to get those 5 laps. So we'll see what happens, and see if we get any strategical advantages coming into play, or any major fuel saving coming in, things like that. But we'll see in time. We've still got about 9 minutes until qualifying starts, so we'll just stick here at the moment. We can see people coming into the lobby, a little bit of the chat going on. In the meantime, I will tell you a little bit about Eldar Sim Racing, who is hosting tonight's event. Obviously, Eldar Sim Racing, it's just over a year old, so to have this league with so many top drivers in is fantastic to see. There's plenty of other leagues that the group run at the same time. The Monday Endurance Series, which was a mixture of GR2 and GR3 cars, that's just finished, but there's obviously a new season coming. Few new rules coming into that one as well. I think it's going to be a 90-minute endurance series next time out, so we'll see how that one goes. Wednesday nights, at the moment, they're not sure which way round they're going to go. It could be a BTCC league, it could be a completely new concept of a league. Just going to judge how things are going to go with that one. Whichever one doesn't run on the Wednesday will be going into a Tuesday slot, and then of course Friday, starting tomorrow night, is the larger leagues, and the spearhead, if you like, the first leagues that were put into ESR, the Friday night leagues, with the GT Supercars and the WTSC, or World Touring Supercars Championship, all coming into play for Season 2, with commentary will be live again here on the YouTube channel, with Malcolm Argyle doing the GT Supercars and Andy Hopley doing the WTSC. So we've got a few extra things and bits and pieces coming along, new ideas, possible new leagues, but in the meantime, if you do want to have a look and see what's going on, you can always have a look at the Facebook page, search for Eldar Sim Racing, or by all means check out the website, eldarsimracing.co.uk. Give them a look and check it all out. I'm just being shown a picture of the Duracell Bunny, and yeah, it kind of does. The track really does look a bit like the Duracell Bunny.
And this is what you get from my commentary. Oh,
yeah,
like
this is what we'd get if Kim was doing any commentary, which we might be having a trial at soon, but we shall see in time. We shall see in time.
You don't want to hear me talk about races.
So I've just having a quick look at the messages that we're getting through on YouTube. Obviously a small amount. Do feel free to send us a message. If I can during the race, I'll try and catch up, but Kim will be looking, and you might hear Kim shouting out at the background of anything going on in the meantime for me to catch up on as well. But we've got Lee Dennington here saying, not a good track for me, hoping Darren takes a liking to another wall. Well, you never know. The pit entry wall was Darren's thing at round 1. We missed it on the stream, unfortunately, but yeah, he just clobbered the pit wall, and it certainly cost him a decent race and a decent result. Who else have we got here? Yeah, Kim on comms we've got here being said. I believe I keep seeing the name come up. I believe it's Brian Moncani, which I have got to bring in as well, because Brian will be racing tonight, but he's actually, I completely missed it last week. Brian is actually racing in place of Stu Shelton, who underwent operation just before last week's race. So Brian Moncani and Stu Shelton scoring points together in this series here. So fair play to Brian, not just taking it on for himself, but helping out a good friend, which is always nice to see. Brian not just taking it on for himself. And look at that, as I say that, Stu turns up in the YouTube chat as well, which is great to see. So best of luck, Stu. We do wish you better, mate, and hopefully you'll be back racing in all the series that we've got coming soon. You will more than likely be missed everywhere, The people that may be battling with you might have something slightly different to say about it, but best of luck, mate, and we wish you better, and we hope to see you back on track soon, bud. So let's go to the track and have a look and see what is going on. We might actually need to turn on the settings for the keyboard. That might actually help. Get everything set up and away. There we go.
Do you want a drink?
A drink would be lovely, thank you. So we have Lee Fitzy, new to the series tonight. As we had a few, obviously, few people have a few issues last week, and I think we might have lost one or two from last week. But Lee's come in and stood in for certainly tonight, hopefully the rest of the season, in a wonderful green and black livery. Is that virtual racing on the side there I saw? We shall see more of Lee, I'm sure, throughout the race. Lee is a very strategical driver, having raced with him in the Monday night series. He knows how to work a good strategy to get himself up towards the front of the grid. Currently second place is Andy White. I did think it was going to be a DHL livery last week, but I never actually got back to it. But no, it's not. It's more of a, is it Loctite there on the side with the Scottish flag flying for his country. We've got BBA Boss, or Rasmus Omren. I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Catching him just at the wrong moment as he spins. So he's actually just jumped out, but he was rocking a lovely pink livery, very similar to the old Force India Formula 1 car. We did catch sight of Craig quickly, but we've now jumped to Moz, who's also jumped back out. Have we got anyone on track? There we are. So Aussie Rooster, or Andrew Osler, in his in wonderful white Rooster livery, who openly admitted he was struggling a little bit at practice yesterday again, but we know what happened last week. He said he was struggling on the practice side of things, and actually came away with a decent result and 6 points at the end of the race. So it just shows the endurance side of things. It might not be your favourite track, it might not be one that you can get a rhythm in, but as long as you keep going, you will pick up those places.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
It's all about that little bit of consistency, keeping it on the black stuff, and you will get a result. People will make mistakes throughout this race, certainly with the 60 minutes. Keeping that concentration level is very, very hard, and our track as technical as this as well. You're constantly turning the wheel. You only get about 2 or 3 small respite periods, and it's a real hard technical track for the driver. Obviously the gap between turns 13 and 14 at the bottom of the track, if I get the track map up there, at the bottom of the track there you can see between turns 13 and 14, a long straight, an ideal chance to have that bit of a rest. But with the camber and the dome shape of that straight, it does push the car to the side depending on what side of the track you're on. So even though there's a chance for a rest spot, you've still got to just make sure you keep it out the barrier. But you'll see more of that as it comes along, and obviously with the constant moving. As the time gets on, some of the drivers you might find start making those little mistakes, running that little bit wider. Here's a common one, that they run wide, they just catch that Armco barrier there going over the bridge, and it send the car spinning off to the other side of the track. Which can also collect other drivers in the same time, and with the heavy damage that's on for the series, that is going to be absolutely diabolical for drivers. It looks like we're about to go into qualifying now. We spent a lot of time looking at Aussie, a few others here. It looks like Adam Morgan's running the Snickers livery that Moz was running last week, and I think I'm not sure which one Gareth Morris has gone in for this time round. We shall no doubt see. We've got a lovely Jack Daniels livery there. Just caught sight of very, very quickly. Who have we got going out on track at the moment? Lee Dennington already out onto track nice and early. Lee Fitzy behind him. William John Lane with the black and yellow Kodak. And then behind him we've got Morgan in the Snickers livery, BB Avos in his BWT Force India look-alike, Darren Baldwin in his Jamaican style Porsche, the green and yellow, green and gold. I'm going to go green and yellow because it is slightly more yellow to me, but Darren might be able to correct me on that one. And then who else have we got? Adam Dyke, who had a few issues last week out, few connection issues, and decided rather than ruin someone's race, pulled into the pits, which was a lovely little gesture from him, making sure he doesn't spoil anyone else's race. Aussie Rooster, Brian Moncani, or Stu Shelton. We'll call him Moncani tonight because that is who is actually behind the wheel, but as we said earlier, standing in for Stu Shelton tonight. Behind him we've got Marshall, or Brucey Collins, in his Ali NASCAR style livery. I think possibly a tribute to the good old Jimmy Johnson there. And then Andy White. Let's go back up to the front. We've obviously got Dennington. Who else haven't we seen so far? Yes, Mike Littlejohn here in the Jack Daniels livery. We did catch sight of it very, very quickly, but here is Littlejohn, second in the championship, just 1 point behind Dennington. Lee Fitzy, who we saw earlier. Moz in a completely different livery tonight, and we're not going to miss him as much this time round, in the bright orange Porsche 911, which is good to see. A little bit easier to spot than the Snickers one from last week. And then of course the final driver of the night that we haven't seen so far, Craig Thomas in the Cat Porsche. So coming round, it looks like most are going to get 2 laps, I think, at this. No, maybe not. We are going to get a 1 lap qualifying showdown. So we will see how things go. And the 1 lap qualifying always adds that little bit of tense pressure into things, and there we go, that's better. Yeah, the 1 lap per qualifying always adds that little bit of extra pressure. It means you cannot make that mistake. So do you push and go balls out for that pole position, the extra 2 points that the pole position offers the driver, which is why Littlejohn caught up. Despite finishing second, he's only 1 point behind Dennington for the championship after round 1. Do you push for that extra, those extra 2 points, or do you just hold it back that little bit and just see what you can get out of the track? Now earlier on, I've just noticed, I did say that turns 13 and 14 were the bottom 2 corners. I've actually got it wrong on my list. They're actually turns 15 and 16. I actually had the start and finish line along this straight on my graphic, but I do apologise. So I'll try and adjust the numbers as we go through the race. But in the meantime, we are now on the fast and flying laps. No one, it seems, has pulled into the pits and made a big boo-boo. Just Andy White's come round and start his flying lap. He will be the last one crossing line, so do look out for Andy. From what I understand from last night, Andy was very, very quick in practice and could be in contention for a very good starting position. In the meantime, we will have a flick through and we see everyone coming through the early section, running nice, just catching the curb and the AstroTurf on exit. Morgan coming through a little bit wider there, catching the grass. And it looks like Omran's gone off. He's had an off somewhere, and that is certainly going to affect his starting position. It looks like as well he just caught, or Osler was just caught out in the the mayhem of Omron rejoining the track. So at the minute, I would hazard a guess that it's going to be Omron starting from the rear of the field. No one else so far, it looks like, making any mistakes. Andy coming through the second sector, sorry, and everyone looking good. We go over the lake and over the bridge, and Dennington is now offering a decent slipstream here to Little John. Little John just catching the barrier on exit there, but Little John's going to have a nice tow down the main straight here at the bottom of the track, and the same's going to could be said here for Morris, who might just about be getting a tow here from Morgan in the distance as well. So those two drivers could be looking at a very good starting position. Same here for Morgan. Morgan and Baldwin. Morgan getting a fantastic slipstream from Baldwin all the way down the start-finish, not the start-finish straight, but the main straight here. I'm going to call it the main straight because it's the longest straight. And there you go. So you see there, Morgan has actually pulled out and is up the inside of Baldwin here. Even though it's qualifying, we've got overtaking going on already. And it's given him that advantage. I don't know if Morgan started his lap before Baldwin or what, but certainly gives him a big advantage coming up to the end of qualifying. We come up towards, well, we're in the last sector now with Dennington, who's looking good at the moment for a lap time. We'll try and ping through the cars as they come across the start and finish line, and we've got Dennington will be the first to set a time. Dennington comes across the line, quickly beaten by Little John. Moz goes up into first. Told you that slipstream would make a big difference. Osman or Thomas coming across the line and going fifth. Baldwin up to fifth now as well, in front of Morgan and Thomas. Adam Dykes coming across the line now, going into eighth. Osler and Omron coming across. Osler just about beats Dykes into ninth place. It's all happening very, very quickly now across the line. Let's see if we can catch Andy White coming across the line, who will be the last one to set a lap time. And where does that put Andy? He goes 8th, so maybe some small mistake there. But that is the end of qualifying, and it is Gareth Morris who takes pole position by 0.447 seconds. So Morris gets the extra 2 points, and that pings him or keeps him in third place, but closes that gap up to just 4 points at the top of the standings already, even before a wheel's turned in the race. So we'll try and keep an eye on everything going on. We'll try to have a go at times without names, sometimes with the names. We've got a better line for the start. Here we go. The lights have gone out and we're away, and who's made the best start out of the lot of them? Morris has got away well. Little John is up alongside him, and Dennington's going to make it 3 wide into turn number 1. It's going to be Little John who's going to take the lead. Dennington up into second place already, and it looks like in third place just about is still Morris, who's under attack from Fitzy. Fitzy's just run out a little bit wide at turn number 1. Behind him is Darren Baldwin in 5th place. Let's get our information up there. There we go. And yeah, so Baldwin in 5th. 6th place is Andy White. 7th is Morgan. 8th is Thomas, who's fallen back, and he's made a mistake there at the hairpin, breaking that little bit late, cost him a little bit of time. He's lost places to both Lane and Omron. Back up the front, and it's not Dennington, sorry, it's Little John who is out in the lead already from Dennington in 2nd place, opening up a gap of half a second, and they've opened a gap already up to Moz of over a second, who is under major pressure already from Lee Fitz, who's coming under pressure himself from Darren Baldwin, with Andy White in 6th. 7th is William Lane. 8th is Omron. 9th Thomas. 10th is Collins 11th is Osler, 12th is Adam Dyke, 13th is Morgan, who's dropped back that little bit from an early start, a good early start, and in 14th is Moncani in the BP liveried Porsche, and just wonder if there's a little bit of game playing going on there from Moncani at the rear of the field, holding that bit of fuel back in the early stages. We come up over the bridge, and we've got Little John still in the lead, keeping well away from that barrier in the early sections. Dennington in second, Moz, who is just holding that gap just over a second to the lead two. You won't want to see those two get away too far, but again, like we said earlier, tyre wear is going to be a big factor here. As we have a quick look, we've got medium tyres for Little John, medium tyres for Dennington, medium for Moz, medium as well for Fitz. Baldwin also on the medium. First of the hard runners is Andy White, and to be up in 6th place and so close to the lead pack on the hard tyre already, that is looking very good for Andy White. I did say earlier on his time and his pace in the early sector in the practice session yesterday looked fantastic. As we see Dennington now go up into 1st place as well down that main straight, using the slipstream advantage. And it makes the world of difference for Dennington. He's decided that's enough fuel saving, sat behind Little John. I'm going to take the lead, I'm going to control the pace of this race. As we see Little John now sitting in behind Dennington, trying to save that fuel. Fitzy's now up into 3rd place. We missed where that happened. Could that be down the main straight as well? It looks like it was. We just missed the end of the move there, unfortunately. But Fitzy now up into 3rd place. Morris down into 4th. Andy White's up into 5th now, ahead of Darren Baldwin. These two will be going at it, Hammer and Tom, all race long. We go back to the front as we come across the line to complete lap number 1, and it is Dennington with a shadow of Little John right behind him, to the point you can't actually see his car at times. Little John coming out of the slipstream, taking that inside line down into turn number 1, and he'll go, thank you very much, I will take that lead back from you, even though we're only on lap 2. But we say lap 2, we're already 4 minutes into this race. So you can see the sort of lap times we're doing, the length of the lap that's going on. Behind, Morris has got himself back in front of Fitzy. Again, that slipstream playing a major part in these overtakes, and this is going to happen all race long. Behind the main pack, we can see Omran now is got in ahead of Lane. Thomas doing the same thing as well, just behind. Again, using the slipstream, braking that little bit earlier though. Lane going out wide, and that will be Thomas's position up into 8th place. But going back to Omran, he's now having been released from behind Lane. He's now caught up with Andy White and Darren Baldwin for the battle for 5th place. And he makes a mistake there, just catches the gravel and he spins out. Oh, what a shame. After such a great start from him, he's spun out and he's now going to be relegated right the way down the field, almost to last place by the looks of it. Morgan looks to have done something very similar as well, as he's just come round the first few corners and dropped nearly 20 seconds back behind Moncani. Again, could be something fuel saving based. We'll go back to the lead pack as they come down towards the bridge section. Again, making sure you don't catch that outside barrier. Just there, you see it, just giving it enough distance. Dennington giving it a little bit more, but Dennington will be in that slipstream again. We can see behind Fitzy again now up into 3rd place ahead of Morris. 5th place is White, 6th Baldwin, 7th is now Thomas, who will be setting his sights on that rear bumper of Darren's and seeing if he can close the gap. 8th place is Marshall, 9th Lane, although they are side by side, and Lane's got the inside line for the corner, and Lane sure enough will take that position back, so Collins down into 9th. 10th is Adam Dykes, 11th is Andrew Oslo, who's giving Dykes a lot of pressure from behind. 12th is a recovering Omran. 13th is Moncani, who's now started to find that a little bit of pace, maybe increasing that fuel mixture. And 14th is Morgan, who seems to be struggling a little bit. Is he running on the hard tyres? He's on the mediums, which is a strange factor, and hopefully Morgan can pull things back together and start getting himself back towards the front. It looks like we've got a change for the lead again. Dennington using the slipstream again down into his favourite turn 16, and taking the lead back from Littlejohn. We go back to the live broadcast again, and it's still Dennington with Littlejohn now that little bit further behind, but again Mark will be looking to just keep that gap around that 3/10 mark. That'll give him the extra slipstream down the start finish straight. Back behind them, Moz back ahead of Fitz, who's actually got a second gap now. That's going to be very handy for Morris coming down to the start finish straight. We'll go back to the leaders because I anticipate another change of lead here. Mark's that a little bit further back this time round though. It might have to be a slightly later dive. He's back up to that rear bumper, pushing. Can't quite get it done into turn number 1. Will he ever go into turn number 2? Nope, thinks better of it. Sits behind, tries to get that better exit, and we'll have another look down into turn number 3. Again, the slipstream comes back into play, and it looks like Dennington's actually opened that gap up that little bit. So Mark will probably have to just sit back through this little technical section and hold that chance down over the bridge again. What do I know? He's going to have a look down the inside, but again thinks better of it. But these two fighting is now again bringing Morris back into play. It's under a second gap to Morris. As I say that, it goes back over the second, but it's certainly bringing Morris that a little bit closer to the two of them again. Same thing happened last week at Nürburgring, but Morris wasn't able to capitalise, unfortunately. Fitzy in 4th place. Darren Baldwin up into 5th place now, ahead of the hard tyre shod Andy White. But again, he's the first runner on those hard tyres. 5 laps and he can get rid of those, get onto the quicker medium tyres that everyone else ahead of him is already running. If he can keep this pace and keep this sort of position, this is going to work out brilliantly for Andy in the later stages. 7th place is Thomas, who is certainly catching the two of them in front of him. Marshall's now got himself ahead of Lane in his Jimmy Johnson inspired livery. Then we've got the Kodak liveried William John Lane in 9th place. Dyke in 10th place, who's managed to drop Osler that little bit this time in 11th place. Omron, who is now catching Osler as he recovers from his spin the previous lap, will flick down to the lead pair as we're coming towards the bottom straight again, and Littlejohn has got himself back towards the rear bumper of Dennington. See if he can get a nice drive out of this long sweeping right hand corner. See if he can use that slipstream down into turn number 16 and get that position back, although he's dropping back that little bit. Could the tyres just be giving up that little bit on Littlejohn? And we'll see if the slipstream does help. It seems to be at the moment. Sure enough, there is the late move, and he does take the lead at this point. It'll be the last of the late breakers. He actually gets himself back in front, clears Dennington before the braking zone. Dennington thinks about a dive up the inside, but thinks better of it. No, I'll sit behind him for this lap and save the fuel this time round. Morris just that second further behind. We'll have a look if we can at the fuel situation, because a lot of them were saying it's going to be about 4 laps. Well, it looks like here Littlejohn's going to get about 6 laps of fuel, depending on the fuel mixture he's using. We can't obviously see that, but Littlejohn just over half a tank of fuel, so at a guess about 6 laps of fuel. Dennington's slightly better. Again, he'd done this last week. He's slightly better on the fuel compared to Littlejohn. Morris just under half a tank, so he could be pushing it for the 5 laps. Fitzy slightly better than Morris in front of him, bang on that half tank as they come over the line. Baldwin doing a very good job. He's actually roughly on par with Dennington on the fuel mixture as lap number 3 goes into the book. Andy White, Craig Thomas up into 6th place now, who's just a little bit under, or just a bit over half a tank, a little bit behind Baldwin on the fuel. Andy, who's now unfortunately picked up some damage somewhere, maybe just clipped the barrier somewhere, but looking good on fuel. It certainly looks like he'll get the 5 laps done easily on these hard tyres on this stint. He'll be glad to see them go. Just having to repair that damage in the pit lane. And Collins doing well in 8th place, slightly under the half tank. Lane on half a tank, and yeah, they're all roughly half a tank, just under half a tank. Dyke Hunt just under half a tank, certainly just under half a tank for Omron here, who's got himself in front of Osler now, but he's obviously having to push that a little bit harder after that incident earlier on. Osler on half a tank, saving fuel well. Moncani, wow, look at that fuel saving. I said there would be a reason behind his massive drop off in pace and being so far behind earlier on, and look at that. He has got about an eighth of a tank more than anyone else on the circuit at the moment, which is great to see. Fantastic fuel saving from Brian. That's going to open up that possibility of a different strategy. And give him the chance to gain places later on in the race. And again, Morgan doing very well as well, similar sort of position as Moncani. So we go back up to the front, and Morris has actually caught Dennington here for second place, and he's bringing Fitzy along with him. Littlejohn's actually gone out and stretched his lead to, let's have a look, 1.3 seconds, with Dennington now 2/10 behind him is Morris. And then just another half a second back is Fitzy. So could we see a big change here for second place? Dennington said earlier on in the chat that he wasn't overly happy with his circuit, but these four have just blown everyone else out the water and have almost gone full throttle to open up a decent gap to fifth place Darren Baldwin. But we see him coming down the main straight here, and Morris has pulled out, and he's pulled himself up into second place ahead of Dennington before the braking zone. And this is brilliant news for Morris in the championship. It puts Dennington down into third place. It's going to work wonders, not only for Morris, who's going to bring himself into contention that a little bit more, but even better news for Mark Littlejohn, who is out in the lead of this race, opening up to nearly a 1.5 second lead already, and we're only 14 minutes into the race. Fantastic news for Mark, but again, it all comes down to the strategy, and it could be playing brilliantly now for Mark, but we saw at Nürburgring that Dennington had that strategical mind and had that strategical edge over Littlejohn, and pulled himself up from about 3 seconds behind, I think it was, into the lead of the race, and didn't actually have to look back. Fitzy now putting a bit of pressure onto Dennington, half a second behind. He's going to pick up the slipstream down the start and finish straight down into turn number 1. Just that little bit too far back. Dennington obviously picking up a distant tow from Morris, but Fitzy really on the ragged edge there, coming through turn number 1 down into the braking zone of turn 2. Fitzy going to look for a better run out of turn 2 down towards the hairpin at 3, possibly using that slipstream again just to edge that little bit closer to Dennington once again. We'll have a look behind after the hairpin, as I can see Thomas and Baldwin getting closer and closer as well. A little bit, the camera angle did it more justice than what it actually was, but Baldwin there in 5th place. Thomas now closing that gap up onto Baldwin. A little bit loose coming out of the turn 3 hairpin, but you can see he's pushing hard and not caring too much about the tyre wear. White's there still in 7th place, now coming under a little bit of pressure with the hard tyres, as Collins on the mediums starting to put that little bit of pressure on the rear. As I say that, it's the commentator's curse again, the same corner as Rasmus Omren. He just catches the gravel and spins it out, and having to recover there as we see Omron come back through. A quick wiggle of the tail, get some heat back into those tyres and get back underway. I'll try to stop cursing people at that corner. That's twice now I've already done it, but we shall see what happens further on in the race as we're got 44 minutes left, and Thomas now is certainly closing the gap up on Littlejohn. He's been released from Dennington. He's set his sights on 1st place. Behind we can see Fitz going for a late dive, maybe. No, thinks better of it. He's going to use the slipstream down the bottom straight, as we could see 2 changes here. We could see a change for the lead with Morris catching Littlejohn and Fitzy catching Dennington. I think Fitzy might just be that little bit too far back, unfortunately, but they come over the crest, down the hill. Fantastic straight, because it's got so many little undulations in it, as you can see there in the background. And it's Morris who's going to have a late dive. Is he on the brakes into turn 16? And he does go for it. He does take the lead. Morris up into first place. Fantastic. How is the fuel looking for him? This is the main thing. He's got under quarter of a tank. And when we compare that to Little John, there's why Morris has caught up so quickly. He's really taken a massive chunk out of the fuel to get himself into this position. But it's track position, and track position at times can be key in some of these races. But again, the strategical side is a major must. Working it out roughly, we're looking at I believe about 3 minutes a lap, was it? Just under 3.5 minutes a lap. So if you add in the time for a pit stop, you're probably looking, if you can stretch it out to 6 laps. I'm just going to interrupt myself because Fitzy's now got himself ahead of Dennington up into 3rd place. But going back to what I was saying, if you can stretch it out to about 6 laps per stint, roughly 3.5 minutes a lap, you can work that out. 6 laps per stint, you could do a 2-stop strategy, and that will roughly take you to the hour mark. So I wonder if that's what these guys are looking at. Maybe the guys behind, the likes of Baldwin, Thomas in 5th and 6th, as we see Little John going for a move up the inside here into turn number 3. Nope, comes back into the slipstream, thinks better of it at the hairpin, and behind Dennington gets himself back up into 3rd place ahead of Fitzy down the inside there of the hairpin. We'll have a flick back down through the grid as they go through the technical sections. 5th is Darren Baldwin. 6th is Thomas, who's dropped back that little bit now, maybe in a bit more of a fuel save mode. 7th is Andy White, doing a fantastic job still on those hard tyres, and he'll be glad to see the back of them probably at the end of this lap. I would probably hazard a good guess at. Adam Dyke there in 8th place, again doing a great job holding on to the fuel. Omran recovering brilliantly, now up to 9th after his spin, taking him down to 13th on lap number 2. 10th place is Andrew Osler. 11th is Brian Moncani, who's really trying to save that fuel as much as he can. 12th again Morgan, massive fuel saving. 13th is Lane, who, if we have a look, sure enough has been into the pits now after 5 laps and is now on those hard tyres. We'll have to see what Lane can do now, because the 5 laps, that's going to put him in a very awkward position on the strategy slide. It will probably have to be a 5 laps, dump these, and then maybe even 2 4-lap stints. As we see someone in trouble ahead of Lane there, that's Morgan. Morgan, did he run wide or have an incident or something like that as we were looking at Lane? Let's have a look. Comes out wide. Yeah, just runs out a little bit too wide. Too much speed. And into the barrier there. That will certainly cost him some damage. As there we are. Rear damage. Rear tyre damage as well. Which won't be fun for him, especially as he's trying to continue and gain an advantage on the fuel. Little John now up into 1st place. Dennington seems to have dropped Fitzy, who's dropped back massively. Oh, he's really low on fuel, is Fitzy. Wonder if he's actually going to struggle to get back to the pits on that. We shall have to see. Morris as well, really low on fuel. This could be a slight issue for both of the drivers if they run out of fuel right coming out of the last corner. They're going to be slowing down massively on the entrance to the pits, and it's going to give Dennington the chance to leap ahead of them. But we shall see what happens as we come up towards the final couple of corners. Penultimate corner here, and then the tricky little left-hand corner. We will probably see Little John come into the pits this lap as well. Sure enough, Little John in, Morris in, Dennington in, Fitzy now coming round the last corner. Morris timing that perfectly. Fitzy in as well. So this is going to give Baldwin the chance, maybe, or is he coming in as well? Yep, Baldwin's in as well. It looks like it will be 6 lap stints for all 3 of them. Or 5 or 6 of them, I should say, because Thomas is now into the pits as well. And no doubt, sure enough, there's White coming into the pits. Dyke that little bit wide there, and sure enough, he's into the pits as well. Everyone are coming into the pits now, as we see the changes happening. Out first, just about the 2 of them together, so there must be some sort of strategical fuel being used here by Morris to get himself that much closer to Little John. But the 2 of them were side by side, almost inside each other. But it's now put the 3 leaders nose to tail down this straight towards turn number 3. Kim's laughing in the background. She loved that. But going into turn number 3, the braking zone into turn 3, and it's Morris who will come out of the corner in the lead. Little John trying to get the switch back, and he does just about do that, but he's got the outside line here for turn number 4. Can he hold it round the outside? He does hold it round the outside, and that puts him up into first place. Dennington going to go, I'll have a bit of that, thank you very much, and I'll go up into second place. So let's have a check on the tyre situation and see where we're to. Yes. So, tyre situation, we have Little John running on the hard tyres, a full tank of fuel as well, so 6 lap stint I will hazard a guess at. Behind him, Dennington on the medium tyres. This is where the strategy comes in. This is why Dennington's caught up with Little John so much quicker. Those medium tyres just warming up that little bit quicker, giving that little bit more grip. Behind Morris also on the hard tyres explains an awful lot. But he is that little bit shorter on the fuel. So is Morris going to just do the 5 laps on the hard tyres, dump them quickly, and then try and extend the fuel on the 3rd stint? We just saw Little John catching the barrier there on the entrance to the bridge, just getting away without having any issues on the damage side of things. But this is going to be Dennington's chance now on those medium tyres. Can he put a bit of a run on and get that gap increased to these 2, and then come in, get those hard tyres fitted for the final stint, and then hopefully hold on. We will see. You'll obviously have the slower degradation in the latter part of the race. Behind these 3, Lee Fitzy pretty much on his own now. What's Lee running? He's gone on to the hard tyres as well, so Fitzy at the moment looking good for 4th place. We go back up to Morris and Little John, and these 2 are still fighting over 2nd place. Morris currently got the edge over Little John. 5th place, Darren Baldwin pretty much on his own as well, but running the medium tyres, which will give him the advantage over Fitz on the hard. So Darren will have to be running the hard tyre on the final stint, but certainly looking to close the gap on Fitzy this time round. 6th place is now Brian Moncani, who's got himself up with some fantastic fuel management and looking to stretch it. I just wonder if he's going to try and do what Omran did in the previous round and try and stretch this to pretty much half distance. To be honest with you, looking at it, he could do this. He could stretch this out to about half distance, which is going to be about 8 laps. I'm going to hazard a guess about 16, 17 laps tonight. But Brian's doing a fantastic job stretching this out. It didn't work out for Omran last week. We'll see if it works out for Moncani this week. 7th place is Thomas, also now on the hard tyres after after his pit stop. Again, it looks like he's short fueled, so possibly only the 5 laps, dump them and then extend the latter stint. 8th place is Andy White, who's changed onto the mediums. I don't know if he got that damage repaired or not, if he's finding he can drive through that damage. If he can, fantastic news for him. It'll save him those few extra seconds. Behind him is Omran, who is now onto the hard tyres, doing another fantastic job in recovering after the early spin. Dyke there on the medium tyres, again slightly shorter on fuel, where that's given him that track position. Who he's got himself ahead of Lane, who pitted that lap earlier, if you remember. Collins behind on the hard tyres, again short on fuel, so we'll see what that does for the strategy, and see what they do for the latter stint. They might have to extend their fuel usage, but in the meantime we've got Dennington in the lead on the medium tyres, running that little bit wide into the gravel there. It's going to cost him a few extra little tenths of a second to Morris, but Morris is on those hard tyres. But again, like we said earlier, and we saw earlier, he's just that little bit shyer on fuel, or about a lap shyer on fuel to Little John in third place. And that could just give Little John the advantage, because he won't have to fuel save as much in the latter stage, but Morris will have the medium tyre that little bit earlier on. So the undercut's there, but also the overcut for Little John. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Fitzy pretty much on his own in fourth place, but Baldwin catching him very, very quickly now. But Baldwin is on those medium tyres. He's still got to run those hard tyres later on, and this could be where the advantage and disadvantage, if you like, comes into play. As I say, Dennington here now with nearly a 2-second lead now over Morris, who's got half a second, and it's closing down from Little John. I'm just going to see if we can go on board with Little John down this straight. For some reason we're looking back. I don't know why it's gone straight to the rear camera, but for some reason it has. Yeah, for some reason it's sticking on the rear camera. Oh, there we go. We've got a chase view. There we go, that's the bumper view, that's better. Let's stick through this technical section here with Little John. I say that, I'm actually going to jump back out, and we're going to go to the battle for fourth place, because Baldwin has really caught up with Lee Fitzy now. It looked like he lost a little bit of time at turn number 16, but certainly made a big effort in catching Little John, catching Fitzy for fourth place. But there is action going on all through the field. We've got Morris still in second place, but coming under more and more pressure from Little John behind him. Let's see if we can jump on board with Morris. There we go. And we can see Fitzy there, Little John behind, eyeing up into turn number 1. Thinks better of the attempt down into turn number 2, but gains massively there, look, as they come round turn number 3. We got jump on board with Morris, and we can see just how close he's getting up to turn number 3 into the braking zone. Quick look out towards the inside, just trying to maybe take Morris's eye off of the braking zone. It does work slightly. Morris misses the apex there, so Little John will take that little bit of an advantage coming down into turn number 4. So the glance out from behind did just seem to put Morris off that little bit, and certainly has helped close that gap that little bit more. Baldwin now is up into fourth place. Let's see if we can go back and see how the move was done. Sure enough, down into turn number 3, taking the inside line of the hairpin and up into fourth place. And Fitzy will be wondering just why, but if he's listening, it's because he's on the medium tyres, mate. You're on the hards, so you'll have that advantage swap back into your favour. Just stick with Baldwin, and that advantage will come back to you later on in the race. Darren does like cake. I'm surprised there's no cake actually on the car anywhere, but for the meantime, Baldwin is up into fourth place, Fitzy down into fifth, Thomas in sixth place now, White still there in seventh, as we've got Omran doing a fantastic job recovering in eighth place. Ninth is Adam Dyke. 10th is Collins, again recovering after I put the muckers on him as he spun out, as we were watching him doing very, very well. 11th place is Osler. 12th is Morgan, who's done another fantastic job on the fuel save side. He's now got his hard tyres on. It looks like Moncani's also done the same, but let's have a look. 13th is Lane, and yet sure enough, Moncani is has been into the pits and fitted those hard tyres, but short fueled, so he must be going for a real big fast final sector. That's final stint. We go back to the battle for second place, and these two again are looking at swapping positions down into turn number 16. Little John still just about behind in third place, but now just under 0.3 of a second behind Morris as they come through the fast sweeping turns 17, 18. Some of them get added with extra little numbers for some reason. I don't know why, but they are single corners, let's be honest. But Morris just about holding the advantage, but like as we said before, he has got that lap less fuel on board, so the advantage could come back quite quickly to Little John later on in the race. So I'm going to hazard a guess Morris will be pitting around about lap number 11, and you'll probably see Little John go on to lap 12. But we shall see as time goes on, and we start lap number 10. Dennington now out in a 3.5 second lead. Those medium tyres making a massive difference around this track tonight. And I don't think he's doing much fuel saving either at the moment, but if he is, he's doing a fantastic job to extend that lead so much. But again, the hard tyres will have an effect. Fourth place is still Darren Baldwin, who hasn't dropped Fitzy as quickly as he caught up with him, and we've unfortunately lost Lane. I don't know what's happened there with Lane. Can we pick him up somewhere? Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Lane, unfortunately. Just seemed to drop out somewhere, maybe a mistake. Yeah, possibly a mistake somewhere, but it looks like we have lost Lane, unfortunately. Moncani already getting blue flags. I don't know why, but Moncani's into the pits, and I did see that Thomas was in the pits as well just now. So that'll be, I'm guessing they'll be looking at that being the 5 laps. Although, would it be? Depends when they came in. That will have to be checked. Those running on the hard tyres, remember it's 5 laps on the hard tyres. In and out laps are counted. So if they pitted late, then that could be a disastrous move by those two if they are a lap short, because there's a large penalty if that is the case. Dennington now up to a 4.1 second lead over Morris, who is still holding off Little John in second place, but he's opening up the gap to 0.8 of a second now, so he's just starting to find that little bit of pace. Just opening that gap with the less fuel. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to have to take a quick break and get some water into my whistle, but I'll be back as soon as I can. Okay, sorry about that, but we ran out of fluids, so had to get a refill of fluids there. In the meantime, we've actually seen Morris increase his gap over Little John in second place. He's actually opened it up to It was 1.3 seconds, but Little John now getting the slipstream effect and bringing that gap down quicker and quicker and quicker, down to about 1.1 seconds, which will start to just ease him into the distant toe, down through from turn 2 to turn 3. Behind, the battle for 4th is opening up a little bit. We expected to see that because again, Baldwin's on the medium tyres over Fitzy in 5th place, who's on the harder tyres, but he has got a decent gap there. It's 30 plus seconds to Omran in 6th place. So it's pretty much going to be the top 5, unless there's some massive error. I would say that's pretty much our top 5 drivers are going to be in that position. But Omran will be really annoyed with himself over that mistake. That certainly cost him around the 30-second mark. So he could have been battling up here for the top 5, top 6 positions, but as it is, he's doing a fantastic recovery job here, currently in 6th place. 7th place is Adam Dyke here, again doing well after last week's issues. The internet seems to be holding out that little bit better for him, and he's showing some good pace here, currently in 7th place. 8th is Andy White, who's done his hard tyre stint already. He'll be on those mediums, but we did see earlier he is carrying that little bit of damage, seeming to be able to drive through it, which is great to see as well. And with the 22 minutes left, 14 seconds over Thomas, he might decide on the next pit stop just to make that repair work and finish the final stint that little bit cleaner, a little bit crisper, maybe using that 14.5 seconds time to get that repair work done. In the meantime, up the front we've got Dannington, who's got 4-second lead still over Morris. Just go back to the back through the pack. Thomas here again, almost on his own, 14 seconds to White and 15 seconds ahead of Morgan in 10th place in the Snickers livery that Morris ran last week. Morgan done a fantastic job on the fuel save. How's he looking this time round? It doesn't look like he's going to be fuel saving as much, so it might be a pedal to the metal kind of final stint for him, but certainly done a better job on the fuel save side on the first stint. 11th place we see Osler, who's coming under a bit of pressure now from Collins in 12th place, and then in 13th place we've got Moncani. Back to the front, Dennington and Morris. I believe we will see Morris coming into the pits this lap. Sure enough, the fuel indicator is flashing away, so that'll be him coming into the pits compared to Little John, who's got maybe a lap, I'm going to say an extra lap, because that'll be the 12 laps then. An extra lap of fuel. So this is where the undercut, the overcut, whatever you want to call it, this is where this is going to come into play. Little John needs to nail this next lap as hard as he can. He'll probably flick it up to fuel setting 1. No fuel saving. There goes Morris into the pit lane now. He needs a nice clean stop here and gets much fuel on board here for the final 20 minutes. And when, like we were saying earlier, it's about 3.5 minutes a lap, 3.5 minutes, 7 minutes for the 2 laps. So you're looking at 6 laps left, so he's going to need to get a full tank of fuel in there, and that is going to cost him so much time just sat there in the pits. Fitzy now up ahead of Morris, as well as Baldwin, who goes up into 3rd place. Fitzy, Morris still sat in the pits. He's out now, and he is in 5th place. So the gap, we see Dykes actually got himself ahead of Omran, and as I say that, Adam Dykes comes into the pits, so Omran gets that place back, but that's now put Morris down into 5th place, 37.4 seconds behind Dennington in 1st place. I don't know the exact time. I think, off the top of my head, it's about 32 seconds for a full tank of fuel on a pit stop. So Morris will be looking to hit that time down as quickly as he can. He's already making a couple of smallish inroads. As I say that, it goes back out. Yellow flag quickly being shown because Fitzy's had an off. what's happened to Lee Fitz there. Oh, it's the same place as Omran and Collins earlier, just catching that gravel, spinning out and costing him that little bit of time. And he does keep the position ahead of Morris, but has lost massive amounts of time, and that will also have a massive effect in the fight for full third place with Baldwin as well. Did Fitzy pick up any damage there? Yes, he did. The left front tyre and front bumper damage, so that will be costly, and Morris is now catching Fitzy very, very quickly. Baldwin there now in third place, 10 seconds behind Littlejohn, who's losing more and more time out to Dennington. It's nearly a 7-second gap now to Dennington. We'll go back towards the rear of the field. We've got Morgan here, who has been in full of fuel. That'll be him fuel to the end of the race, I reckon. So Morgan will be all out now to pull himself back up. Moncani will probably be in again. Oh, blimey, this really hasn't worked out for Moncani in the end. But I would say he'll be in maybe at the end of this lap, full tank of fuel and full throttle racing right the way to the end. Thomas there in 11th, again full tank of fuel, so he'll be going to the end now, as Osler, who will probably be in at the end of this lap. Again, some great fuel saving for him, so I'll see him to the end of the race then. Collins in 9th, White in 8th, Dyke in 7th place, 30 seconds behind Omran in 6th, but Omran will be looking at the pits in the next lap or two. Let's go back up to the leader as we see him just come in towards the pits. We knew there would be a lap between them, and this is where the battle was going to be, because Littlejohn will be in. Baldwin now coming around the final corner, and sure enough he should be diving towards the pit lane as well, and sure enough there he goes. Fitzy that little bit further back, now just under 4 seconds ahead of Morris, and it's going to be Morris who we're going to want to pick up in a second. Fitzy now comes round the final corner and sure enough heads in towards the pit lane, but this is the man we want to see. Has he done enough to make massive inroads? Dennington's already out of that pit. It looks like Littlejohn has got the jump on Morris at the moment, certainly, and the short fueling maybe has worked for Littlejohn. It has, but he's on the medium tyres as well, compared to Morris. So Morris, it hasn't worked out. The undercut hasn't worked for him, unfortunately, but he's still within that area that he could close. He has closed this gap up before, and as the two of them catch up on Dennington, because Dennington will be running the harder tyre this time round, sure enough, yeah, there it is, hard tyre. It will make a big difference. The two of them, both Littlejohn and Morris, will be catching Dennington, and you can see it's already down to under 3.5 seconds. So this is going to come closer and closer as the race goes on. It's just going to make it that little bit more interesting again. The finish could be phenomenal between these three. Because if Littlejohn catches Dennington starts to defend, then Morris is going to come into play. It's anyone's guess from there as to what happens. Behind these three, we cannot forget that Baldwin has managed to get out in 4th place. I'm guessing partially because of that spin for Fitz. It's cost him a fair bit of time. He's down 18 seconds now behind Baldwin. So Baldwin in 4th, Fitzy in 5th. Dyke has got himself up into 6th place. How's he looking fuel-wise? I would say he's probably on the way to the end of the race, but he's coming under more and more pressure from behind from Andy White, who's on the medium tyres compared to Dyke's hard, and you can see he is taking chunks of time out. And this is what we're going to see at the front of the field. Andy White here is on the medium tyres compared to Dyke's on the hard, and you can see how much quicker he is through certain corners, how much more he can throw the car in and know that it will grip. Dyke running that little bit wider there, you can see the grip levels, you can see the difference between the two tyre compounds. And sure enough now Andy White is all over the rear of of Dyke, and I'm sure he'll just hold his position down through this little section here and use the slipstream across the bridge. I say that he's getting closer and closer and closer. Now's the tricky part. Now's the time that he needs to keep it smooth, get on the throttle as early as he can. The indicator's going from Dyke, maybe showing Andy which way to go. Andy dives back in for a bit of slipstream, and Andy's going to try and throw it up the inside here in the braking zone, and sure enough, there it is. We can see that is less than half a lap. That's about quarter of a lap, and Andy has reeled in a second's gap and taken the lead. Oh, I say taking the lead, taking 6th place ahead of Dyke, and Dyke Dyke can't keep with him round that corner, so he loses out, and that increases the gap. Okay, the slipstream now brings them that a little bit back, a little bit closer together again. But yeah, the slipstream will bring them back close together. It will give Dyke that opportunity to have that look down the inside into turn number 16. But again, he's just not quite close enough. The slipstream's doing a fantastic job, but he's not close enough. The medium tyres are the tyres to be on. And sure enough, look, we go back up to Little John in 2nd place, and it's down to 2 seconds already. There's 13 minutes left. There's about, 4 laps remaining, roughly. And Dennington is losing time. He's losing about a second and a half a lap to Little John. By the end of this lap, Little John could be on the back bumper of Dennington. This could be anyone's race for this top 3, because Morris is only 1.5 seconds further back from Little John, but he is on the same tyre as Little John. So anyone's guess. Anyone want to put in the chat now? Anyone who's not racing and just purely watching the stream, have a little guess now. What is the podium going to be? Will it even be these 3? Will there be a major mistake, and will Baldwin be able to take advantage? Okay, he's 18 seconds back, but we've seen how much time it costs with Fitzy. He lost about 20 seconds to Baldwin, so a mistake and Baldwin could be in with a chance here of a podium. Like I say, just behind, or a little bit further back, is Lee Fitzy in 5th place. But again, he's closing because he's on those medium tyres where Baldwin's on the hard. So who knows? He's already gained 4 seconds, and that's within a lap and a half. So who knows? Stu Shelton, Moz for the win. You never know. This could be anyone's race, and it is going to be a fantastic finish. Let's go back up to the front, and it's down to 1.5 seconds now. Dennington losing time everywhere to Little John, and as I say that, it's another 1/10 of a second that Moz has taken out Little John towards the front. I don't know if Morris is going to have to fuel save. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But certainly Little John is closing in on Dennington here, and Moz is closing. He has gained 0.2 of a second just purely in this small chat, 0.3 of a second now in this small section of talking. He's got the slipstream there. That's going to help the fuel saving for him to extend it to the 6 laps that he needs over the 5 laps. I say 6. It might be a very tight touch and go thing. How is he looking? He's got half a tank. Yeah, I think Morris will be alright. So it's going to be very, very tight. Here, I said earlier that a mistake could bring Baldwin in, but the gap is now open to Morris of 20 seconds. So the hard tyre, it's showing you there. He's lost a second in a lap to Morris, so it's costing him a lot of time. Fitzy in 5th place now, closing in again about a second. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 1.5 seconds a lap, but Fitzy could still recover it into 4th place, depending on how the tyres fare for Baldwin. Back up the front, and it's down to just over a second. It's 1.1 seconds between the lead 2, and Little John has the better tyres. Don't forget, Morris has those extra 2 points for the pole position at the start of this race. All 3 of them have led laps, so that kind of negates those points there of the extra point for leading a lap. So it is all down to the final finishing positions. It it would be currently 20 points for Dennington. It would be 17 points for Littlejohn, and 15 plus the 2 for Morris, so it would be 17, although everyone will get an extra point, so it's 21, 18, 18. So it's going to be very, very close, but again, if Littlejohn can catch up with Dennington, he would take the lead of the championship as well. And with only 9 minutes to go, by my reckoning, 3 or 4 laps, where are they? Yeah, I'm going to go 4 laps. But Littlejohn will be working this out as well. How long have I got to attack? Another 1/10 of a second, another 2/10 of a second taking out Dennington's lead there. It just shows that extra grip from the tyres does make a major difference. But if you look at the wear rates, they're slightly better for Dennington, but the wear rate should be fine now to the end of this race. We haven't seen any major wear or anything like that, so let's see what happens towards the latter part. In the meantime, we'll have a quick flick down through the field. We've got Baldwin here in 4th place, being caught by almost 2 seconds a lap. I'm going to go out on a limb for and say Fitzy is catching by 2 seconds a lap from Andy White, 20 seconds back from Fitzy, so certainly 6th place I would say is Andy's, but he is 3.1 seconds ahead of Rasmus Omren, who's got Adam Dyke for very close company in 8th place, so could have a battle here for 6th, 7th and 8th. You can see all 3 of them there in the same shot. 9th place is Collins in the Jimmy Johnson Porsche 88, 6 seconds ahead of Craig Thomas in the Cat livery. I think his strategy's kind of eaten away at him, unfortunately, this time round, and maybe that just doing the 5 laps on the hard tyre has kind of killed the race, unfortunately, a little bit for Thomas. But he was running up high in about 6th, 7th place earlier on, so you never know, things might change. This endurance racing does lead to things like this. 11th place is Morgan, who's done well considering how far back he was in the early stages, you might remember, to get himself up into 11th place, doing very, very well. And he's got that 30-second lead over Osler as well, who openly admitted yesterday that he wasn't looking forward to this track at all. And then 13th is Brian Moncani, whose strategy has really cost him, unfortunately. We thought he'd be on for a decent finish with as he moved himself up to 6th, but it just hasn't worked out for him, unfortunately. We go back to the leaders, and there we go. You can see the gap now. It is 2/10 of a second between our 2 leaders. Morris in 3rd place will be hoping that Dennington can hold off Littlejohn as much as he can, or at least if he does get past, which it looks like he's going to here, Dennington can get back in front quickly and then hold up Littlejohn and pull him back to a 3-car battle maybe. Morris is certainly closing in, just 0.6 of a second back, so he's half the gap, but already Littlejohn pulling out a half-second advantage. Those tyres do make a massive difference around here. So we've got Littlejohn now up into the lead of the race and essentially the lead of the championship, because this changes everything now as the championship positions switch around. Dennington, a little bit of a switch there out of turn number 3, and Morris will be looking to take a bit more of an advantage, but he's dropped a 1/10 of a second somewhere to Dennington. Maybe it's that slipstream effect. Dennington will be looking as much as he can to try and stay within that slipstream range and use it across the bridge. Keep with him over the next the 2 corners after the bridge, and then down that long straight. We will see, but certainly Morris now has closed the gap to 0.3 of a second. He can smell the exhaust fumes of Dennington's Porsche there, and we'll see if we can just jump on board. Can we? Yeah, we can. There we are. We can just see how close. Oh, a slight bump onto Dennington's rear bumper there. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but they come down into this tricky little section. So much time can be gained down through here. But as I say, you've got to get the car straight, brake, get it turned in just about right, avoid that barrier just there on the left hand side, because that can be so costly. They take the slipstream down across the bridge over the lake at Santa Cruz, as we've got 4.5 minutes left, and it is still anyone's guess as to who is going to win this race, because Little John has not scampered off into the lead like we thought he might. Dennington is certainly within that slipstream range, although he struggles around that long sweeping right hand corner, loses that bit of time, but Little John is definitely a bit unsure about that slipstream. He tries to break the slipstream. They snake their way down the bottom straight. Morris there is certainly in the slipstream of Dennington. Is he going to have a look down into the braking zone? He's pulled out. He has pulled out early into the braking zone, and sure enough, he's up into second place, but Dennington's going to try and hold it round the outside, is he? No, Dennington decides better of it and concedes the place. Morris being very fair and giving Dennington a bit of room on the inside, and that's allowing Dennington that chance to keep get himself back up into second place, but he completes the move there at around about turn 20-ish. I'm not quite certain exactly, but it has cost them that little bit of time. It's cost them over a second to Little John, who has extended it now to 1.1 seconds. So can Morris now do something about this gap? We've got three minutes left of the race, and 3 minutes 28 elapsed. So this is going on to the last lap of the race. They're all okay for fuel. This is anyone's guess as to who is going to win the race. At the moment, we have Little John in first place, second place Morris, third Dennington, fourth is Idle, but he's losing chunks of time to Fitzy, given the hard tyres. I don't know if Fitzy will be able to do 9 seconds in a lap, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. White there in 6th place, now just 2 seconds ahead of Omran. 8th place is Adam Dyke. 9th place is Craig Thomas. 10th is Morgan. 11th is, I always go to say Marshall, it's not Marshall, is it? It's Collins in 11th place, putting a bit of pressure on Morgan there. So anyone, you could say it could be a battle here on the last lap between those two. Osler in 12th place and Moncani there in 13th. We go back to the battle up the front, and Little John has actually extended the lead. He's put half a second over Morris. Is there anything Moz can do about closing down that gap? Dyke has unfortunately had to pit there on the hard tyres. Can he not? Oh, it might have been a stretch, but the 19-second gap, quick splash and dash. He's going to lose out possibly two places here to Morgan and to Marshall, or to Collins, I should say. Out he comes, and it's going to be a three-way battle for 9th place. But we go back to the front, and Morris is closed up by 0.2 of a second as they come over the bridge. That's about the halfway point, roughly, of the lap. There is under a minute left to go. It really is anyone's guess. I don't know if anyone else has had a quick gamble on who's going to win. Only Stu Shelton, who's stuck with Morris to win, and Morris is trying his best, but he just can't. With the extra laps wear, he just seems to lose out on that long right hand corner, just not quite enough grip. But he's just out of the slipstream zone as well by about 2-3 of a second, and that's going to cost him. I think that is going to hand the victory here to Mark Littlejohn after a fantastic race. Morris there in second, Dennington in third, still 24-second gap behind to Baldwin, pretty much the length of that straight. So we'll stick with these three and see them all across the line. But despite Morris's best efforts, I think he's just going to run out of time, unfortunately, here, as the final lap flashes up in the top left corner. And sure enough, Littlejohn has only got 2 corners left to negotiate now. for the victory, but he's slowing down massively. Morris has pulled it under a second. Oh, Morris has run wide. Oh, that's cost him. That's cost Morris. We'll have to have a look back at that. But that's cost Morris second place on the race. He was pushing as hard as he could. But it will be Little John who will take the victory here. Dennington taking a surprise second place, with Morris coming across the line now in third place. I would hazard a guess at some engine damage after all of that. Oh, he's run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel right at the end there. Let's go back and see. He was pushing as hard as he could to try and catch Little John. He just ran wide and caught the barrier there, and that saw the end of the challenge for second place, unfortunately. But Morris comes across the line in third place. Baldwin in fourth, only 6 seconds behind. Fitzy in fifth. Sixth place could be a very close battle as well. Hopefully Omran doesn't do the same thing as Morris does. He keeps it on track. It is going to be a side-by-side finish here for sixth place, with White and Omran. Omran seeming to get the slightly better run out of the corner there as they come across the line, and it's going to be Omran by 0.019 of a second over Andy White. 8th place will be Craig Thomas coming across the line and finishing well after running so well early on. He'll be a little bit annoyed about that, I'm sure. 9th place is anyone's guess, considering Dyke pitted just at the end of this lap. He's going to try and take a slipstream up to the finish line, but it's going to be Morgan who holds on for 9th place. 10th will be Dyke. 13th will be Collins. 11th will be Collins. 12th is going to be Osler, I believe. I don't think Moncani is going to be able to close that gap unless Osler makes a mistake like Morris. No, not this time round. So Osler's going to come across the line in 12th place. Round the final corner here. What a fantastic race. I thought Morris was pushing it and was going to make it a grandstand finish across the line. Osler across the line in 11th and Moncani in 13th. So unlucky there for Morris, and so then run out of fuel. He will be gutted over that. I know he will. He was certainly pushing as hard as he could, but the victory goes to Mark Littlejohn, and the championship lead goes to Mark Littlejohn as well. Fantastic racing from everyone there tonight. We'll have a quick look at the final results. Obviously, any steward reporting, but we didn't see anything really untoward, so I highly doubt these standings will change. But the winner was Mark Littlejohn, with Lee Dennington in second place, Gareth Morris there in third. Fourth place was Darren Baldwin. Fifth place was Lee Fitz. Sixth place Rasmus Omran. Seventh place Andy White. Eighth place Craig Thomas. Ninth place Adam Morgan. 10th place Adam Dyke. 11th place is Bruce C. Collins. 12th Andrew Osler, and 13th Brian Moncani. Unfortunately, William Lane having some technical difficulties and not finishing the race. But a fantastic race from everyone there tonight, and wow, if those three are going to battle it out all season long, that's one win for Dennington, one win for Littlejohn. Who's to say that in the next round it'll be Morris who takes victory? It's fantastic. I'm lost for words, absolutely lost for words. It was brilliant, and it, barring that mistake, I do wonder if the mistake cost a bit of fuel for Morris as well, and if would he have got to the end of, or would he have got to the line and not run out of fuel? So I hit the wall looking for the fuel maps. Oh, I don't believe it. I'm gutted for Morris, but fantastic to see Littlejohn getting one over on Dennington after last week. who knows? Who knows what will happen next? Who knows what will happen next week? We go to Croatia, and it is Dragon Trail Gardens. I believe the correct way round as well. So it'll be an interesting race, a tight little circuit, a technical circuit, but again a couple of very long straights. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I will be able to do a live next week, because I believe I'm on some slightly later shifts. If not, I will get a relive done. I will purposely not watch the race before I do it, so I can do the commentary as close to live as I possibly can if I can't do it live. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly have. I cannot believe how great that was at the end. I can't thank the guys enough, and it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant tonight, and what a track to have a fantastic race on. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm lost for words, I really am. So thank you to all the drivers tonight. Some brilliant racing out there. I know how hard that track can be. It's not one of my favourites, so brilliant work on everything, you guys. And in the meantime, I will be trying to get everything sorted, all the tables updated as quickly as I can tomorrow. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you very much for anyone who's tuned in, anyone who's watched, anyone who's commented, anyone who's taken part, anyone who wants to take part in any other series. We have gaps in certain areas, and if we don't, we can add you to our reserves list. By all means, send us a message. We welcome everyone who's joined has enjoyed the series that they're racing in. So give us a shout if you're interested, and we will get you into one of our leagues as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, check out the Facebook page, Eldar Sim Racing, or check out the website eldarsimracing.co.uk, ELDAR simracing.co.uk. You can see everything we do on there. You can check out all of our sponsors, and enjoy it. Drop us a message, let us know what you think, and we will see you in about a week's time, hopefully, for round number 3 of the Porsche RSR 911 series at Dragon Trail Gardens. And if you're around tomorrow, do check out the GT Supercars and WTSC. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.